Ricardo Lopez was born on January 14th, 1975, in Montevideo, Uruguay. His family would make the decision to move to the eventually landed in the small town of Lawrenceville, Georgia. From a young age, Ricardo struggled with self-esteem, thinking very little of himself, especially regarding his looks and his body. To those that knew him personally, he was a social recluse, and he preferred to sequester himself inside his family's residence in Lawrenceville. He was not an outright weirdo, not yet at least, and people that knew him at the time described him as easygoing but introverted. Notably, Ricardo had a few male friends, but no female friends or any girlfriend or dating history to speak of. As I mentioned, he struggled heavily with self-esteem issues, and when the police would later read and capture his diary, we would see the full extent of those feelings. Lopez wrote about these emotions and these feelings of shame and of being inadequate, as well as his awkwardness while being around women. These feelings of worthlessness and self-loathing would ultimately lead to his twisted and deranged infatuation with New York. Now, while not being an excuse for his actions, Lopez had been diagnosed with a condition known as Klinefelter syndrome. This is a chromosomal disorder that causes males to have an extra X chromosome, which leads to infertility, small testicles, breast growth, gynecomastia, cognitive issues, and delayed or incomplete puberty. This was probably the source of his feelings of inferiority. Despite this condition, deep down in his psyche, Ricardo actually had ambition to succeed. He wanted to become a world-renowned artist, and he wanted people to know his name. Morbidly enough, he became infamous rather than famous, and not for his art, but for the disaster that will unfold in this video. We'll return after these messages. Today's video is sponsored by Aura. You might have heard in the news, but last month, literally every single American might have had their information, their data, all that stuff leaked online by hackers. Screw them. But in total, over 2.9 billion people worldwide got their information leaked and stolen from the National Public Data Office, including full names, addresses, monitors, your partner. They also provide you a ton of updates. You can check my link below.
The biggest dangers that beginners have when they're playing a song is they'll get their chord and they'll strum.
Ricardo dropped out of high school to pursue this art career. However, he didn't seriously make any advancement in this due to those inferiority feelings and feeling lesser than everyone around him. In fact, he was so anxious and so scared that he wouldn't even get accepted into art school, that he ultimately didn't even try to apply to it. Now, I know you all didn't click on this video for motivation or for advice. Usually it's not in these kind of videos. But if you want to succeed in life, if you do want to reach the next level in your personal life, business life, hobby, anything, you have to take risks. Risks have to become commonplace. You must think outside of what you know to rise up. Fear will kill your mind and your ambition, and you actually have to enjoy being afraid. You have to take comfort in the fact that you are afraid. And if you do take comfort in that fact, then you never actually will be afraid. You never will feel less. Actually going to regret not doing it. Anyways, back to the video. Sorry about that. After dropping out of high school and not pursuing his dream of becoming an artist, Ricardo would work off and on for his brother's pest control business. And it was at this time when the downward spiral into gravity and reclusivity began. At the age of 17, Lopez began to isolate himself from the world. He started to hide in his parents' basement, alone with his thoughts, inside of some kind of twisted echo chamber. As a way to escape the life that he had, he would retreat into his own mind, inside of a world of fantasies and illusions. These illusions eventually manifested into Lopez becoming enthralled by celebrities. This sick addiction and infatuation is not unique to Ricardo Lopez. In fact, there's an entire medical diagnosis for this condition. It's known as celebrity worship syndrome. Professionals now believe that Ricardo Lopez was, in fact, suffering from celebrity worship syndrome. This obsession would eventually manifest into an unhealthy fixation on Bjork Jadmensdottir. I am so terribly sorry for how I butchered that. I genuinely apologize. Lopez became hyperfixated on the Icelandic singer's life. He began to gather up all the information that he could about her, documenting every little detail in his personal diary. He would construct and write and send fan letters, talk about it as often as he could in his diary. At this point, Lopez actually began to tell the few people that were in his life still that Bjork was his muse, and he claimed that everything about her gave him this euphoric feeling. Keep in mind that Ricardo and Bjork didn't know each other, and they'd never met before, and Bjork had no idea he existed. This was a parasocial relationship at its best, and a grotesque fixation in reality. For the next few months, this addiction and this obsession, it festered into a grotesque fixation. So he didn't even really know. Every passing hour, Lopez was disconnected from any sense of reality he had left. He was spiraling further and further into the abyss of gravity. He wrote in his diary that his lifelong goal, his one great achievement, his longing, was to be accepted by Bjork and to be in her life as someone that she knew personally. He had fantasies about inventing a time machine just so he could go back in time to the 70s and befriend her as a child. That way he could have an effect on her and know her personally.
Feel it. I'm thinking about one day she'll ever see this. All my tape library, love to see it. Or many ones. Maybe interesting. But I think my major conclusion today is that all what I'm going to do, my infection process, major thing I want for her while she's done me. Okay, I want to be the most influential person, just like in my fantasy about going back in time and taking back the material for her to, all her materials for them. I'll talk later. But I want to be the biggest influence in her life, the man, the most influential, the most important person who changed her life more than anybody else.
Lopez would go on to explain in his diary that his fantasies, his infatuation, was not sexual, with the following chilling sentence explaining what he meant by that. Quote, "I couldn't have sex with Bjork because I love her." End quote. You'll see how really twisted this becomes later on in the video. He made sure to note that none of it was sexual, yet he wanted to incapacitate and maim this person. Anybody else? This becomes later on in the video. He made sure to note that none of it was sexual, yet he wanted to incapacitate and maim this person.
Anybody else? Okay, the guy who took her life.
But you'll see that later on. Now, at this point, a few months had passed since this obsession was born, and things were just getting worse. Lopez's diary grew to an outstanding 800 pages in length, many of them containing his feelings of inadequacy due to being overweight and fat, and these repeated remarks of his own awful self-image and the embarrassment he had because of his gynecomastia. He wrote that he was, quote, "a loser who never even learned to drive." In total, his diary would contain 168 references to his feelings of being a failure, 34 references to suicide, 14 references to murder, and shockingly, 408 references to Bjork. He could not stop thinking about her. The idea of her, he grasped at it as if it was the very air that he inhaled. The food he consumed, the blood in his veins, she was his everything, and she didn't know who he was. This would all come to heel in the year of 1996, when Bjork began to have a romantic relationship with another musician named Goldie. In Lopez's mind, he had just gotten betrayed by the one thing he loved. Someone took what was rightfully his, in his own demented, twisted mind. His delusional obsession had caused him to not see what was actually happening, and instead he began to tell these lies to himself over and over, and it came to the point where he believed his own lies. Lopez thought Bjork shared all these sentiments he did. He thought that the last 8 months of his life of obsessing over Bjork was shared, and they both had these feelings for each other. Quote, "I wasted 8 months, and she has a lover." End quote. Bjork's new partner, Goldie, had taken the spot that Lopez saw himself in, this invisible throne at the right hand of Bjork, and he wouldn't have it. He couldn't deal with it. So he started to fantasize how he could punish her and enact revenge of betraying someone that she didn't know existed. At this point, Lopez would stop writing in his diary and would instead transition to what are now these infamous videotapes that you've been seeing through the video. Lopez lived alone in a small apartment at this time in 1996, and as so, he was able to fully delve into his delusional world with no one to keep him in check. These videos would document that final collapse into insanity and would capture the spiral of this stalker into his obsession, his infatuation, and eventually his end. Lopez would say that the purpose of these tapes and recordings was to offer a documentation of my life, my art, and of my plans. In total, Lopez would record 11 videotapes, each with around 2 hours of footage inside of them, and the contents of these tapes are extremely disturbing and grotesque. For one, they show his awful collapse from a physical standpoint, but more insidiously, they lay out his plans to murder Bjork. These tapes would document Lopez's entire revenge plot as it expanded from a very small idea into this massive obsession. Obviously, I won't be able to show all the full clips in this video, but they are in a playlist on YouTube. And in total, Lopez would record 11 videotapes, each with around 2 hours of footage inside of them. And the contents of these tapes are extremely disturbing and grotesque. For one, they show his awful collapse from a physical standpoint, but more insidiously, they lay out his plans to murder Bjork. These tapes would document Lopez's entire revenge plot as it expanded from a very small idea into this massive obsession. Obviously, I won't be able to show all the full clips in this video, but they are in a playlist on YouTube in their entirety. They're very disgusting to watch. I watched all of them while making this video. There's 20 plus hours of footage, and you can really see the fall off, the breakdown of this man's mental state while watching it. I will include the clips that are relevant to this video, but like I said, you'll have to go find them on YouTube yourself if you want to watch them in their entirety. I'm also going to be blurring like disturbing things that might get me demonetized and stuff, of course. I'm already on a watch list from the CIA, so. Ricardo Lopez's revenge plan was simple to him. He wanted to punish Bjork and leave a lasting impact on her so she could never forget him. At first, Lopez's plan was to make a bomb that was filled with hypodermic needles that contained HIV-infected blood. Lopez had hoped that this bomb would be mailed to Bjork's address, she would open it up, it would explode, and it would infect her with HIV. And in his twisted mind, that is how he would leave this lasting effect on her. After all, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted her to know who he was, to affect her in some way, and he thought then, let's try this and see. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
It's the best way to do it.
Major thing I look, while she's dying, okay, I want to be the most influential person, just like in my fantasy, but going back in time, taking back the material, or all of the materials, my God, I'll talk later. But
He quickly realized that would not be possible to construct, so he moved to his plan B, a letter bomb with sulfuric acid. If you're not aware what a letter bomb is, it's essentially a bomb that's sent through the mail, and when opened, it detonates on the person that opens it. Lopez had designed this letter bomb inside of a hollowed-out book, filling those hollowed-out areas with the sulfuric acid. His plan was to send this book with the acid to Bjork's home in London, England. He hoped that she would open the package and instantly open the book, thinking it was some kind of fan mail or something, and the acid would spray on her and maim her, disfigure her. He stated in his tapes that his goal was to send this book and have her disfigured or her after she opened it. The final part of this awful revenge plan would end with Lopez committing suicide. That way, he and Bjork would be united together in heaven. The groundwork was laid to send this book and have her disfigured or her after she opened it. The final part of this awful revenge plan would end with Lopez committing suicide. That way, he and Bjork would be united together in heaven. The groundwork was laid, the bomb was made, his plan was happening, and in Lopez's mind, he would finally be in heaven with his love, the object of his infatuation, his muse, his everything. He would finally be with her. On the morning of September 12th, 1996, Lopez began to film the final and the most famous video entry in his series. He titled this tape, Last Day, Ricardo Lopez. And it began with Lopez taking the letter bomb to the post office to mail it to Bjork's house.
nervous. I don't think I've ever been this nervous. Well, I have been more nervous than this. I took two brags off, and we'll walk over there. I have my handgun loaded in my sack here. So if I don't return, I just want to say goodbye to everybody. And because I'm certainly not going to get arrested and blow my head. Better hurry up and go now. I need to go now. Gotta go now. Go now. Stay.
He claimed in the video that he was very nervous, somehow looking suspicious to the post office service. But he ended up mailing the letter bomb, and after he mailed the package, he went back to his apartments and he began the plan to end his life. He would turn on Bjork's music in the background, strip naked, and begin to shave his head, his eyebrows, and cover his face with red and black paint. The monster on the inside would finally make itself manifest on the outside. Authorities believe that he disfigured himself like this in order to make himself more unrecognizable when he looked in the mirror. That way he would have an easier time committing suicide. As I mentioned earlier, and from his diary, he could not stand himself in life, and he also couldn't stand himself in death either. Once adorned with his shaved head, shaved eyebrows, and painted face, he told the camera that he was feeling a little nervous now, and the gravity of the situation was hitting him. Chillingly, he stated that he was not intoxicated, and that he was not depressed, that he knew exactly what he was doing. Although all of those are like and himself in life, and he also couldn't stand himself in death either. Once adorned with his shaved head, shaved eyebrows, and painted face, he told the camera that he was feeling a little nervous now, and the gravity of the situation was hitting him. Chillingly, he stated that he was not intoxicated, and that he was not depressed, and that he knew exactly what he was doing.
Come back,
Although
nigga.
all of those are likely a lie.
Maybe noontime is when I'll blow my... Yeah, might as well get it over with today, because what's the use now? A little weird feeling, finally doing what you accomplish.
As Bjork's song, titled I Remember You, finished playing, Lopez loaded and chambered a round into his .38 caliber, stopped filming, and it was stuck on the single last frame that showed a hand-painted sign he made, the words, quote, "The best of me, September 12th," on the wall. He committed this act in front of this sign, and police theorized that his goal was to cover this sign with his life in his disgusting mind. But much like his life and his actions, No blood, no insides, no brains were splattered on the poster. And all that remained was an empty,
a little weird feeling. Finally doing what you accomplished.
As Bjork's song, titled I Remember You, finished playing, Lopez loaded and chambered a round into his .38 caliber, stopped filming, and it was stuck on the single last frame that showed a hand-painted sign he made. The words, quote,
What's the use now? A little weird feeling. Finally doing what you accomplished.
As Bjork's song, titled I Remember You, finished playing, Lopez loaded and chambered a round into his .38 caliber, stopped filming, and it was stuck on the single last frame that showed a hand-painted sign he made with the words, quote, the best of me, September 12th, on the wall. He committed this act in front of this sign, and police theorized that his goal was to cover this sign with his life in his disgusting mind. But much like his life and his actions, no blood, no insides, no brains were splattered on the poster. And all that remained was an empty, white canvas with nothing underneath the best of me. It was also discovered that the bullet was not the cause of death either. Instead, he simply blacked out, meaning for several minutes he was laying there, unable to move, feeling and likely regretting everything he did. For his quote, the best of me, September 12th, on the wall. He committed this act in front of this sign, and police theorized that his goal was to cover this sign with his life in his disgusting mind. But much like his life and his actions, no blood, no insides, no brains were splattered on the poster. And all that remained was an empty, white canvas with nothing underneath the best of me. It was also discovered that the bullet was not the cause of death either. Instead, he simply blacked out, meaning for several minutes he was laying there, unable to move, feeling and likely regretting everything he had just done to himself. Not a single drop of him was on that poster. It would turn out that the .38 caliber revolver was not strong enough to do this. In a twisted way, he might wanted to leave his mark on Bjork, and he physically couldn't even do that with the poster. 4 days later, his body was found in his apartment after complaints of a foul smell.
Suicide bomb.
On the wall of the apartments in front of the camera was a note for the police. Quote, the 8mm tapes are a documentation of a crime. They are for the FBI. End quote. The Broward County Sheriff's Office evacuated the building instantly and began to watch all 22 hours of footage. Once the final tape was watched, police notified Scotland Yard to warn them of that bomb that Lopez had sent. Luckily, the package had not been delivered yet, and it was intercepted at a South London post office. It was then located and disposed of. The package would have likely never even reached Bjork. since all of her mail that was intended for her was sent and vetted through her management's office first. She would have never even known about it. And unbeknownst to Lopez, a few days before he ended his own life, Bjork ended her relationship with Goldie. 6 days after Ricardo Lopez took his life, Bjork walked outside of her home in London. She was swarmed by the paparazzi, and someone asked how she felt about the stalker incident. Bjork would go on to describe herself as very depressed by the incident. She said, "It's terribly terrible. It's a very sad thing that someone would face off. I'm making music, but in other terms, people shouldn't take me too literally and get involved in my personal life." Later that year, she sent a letter and flowers to the Lopez family. Bjork would go on to state that she was more so worried about the safety of her son than of herself. And fans speculate that after this incident, she became more distant and less involved in the public eye. And understandably so. But it just goes to show the kind of person that Bjork is. Feeling sorry for Ricardo despite the disturbing and awful things he did, and even sending the letter and the flowers to his family. That takes a strong kind of person. This case was about a disturbed man who became obsessed with a celebrity that did not know of him at all. I usually don't like to draw parallels or make lessons or stories out of things like this, but I believe this is a great warning sign about the dangers of parasocial relationships. These are relationships between people online that don't really know each other personally, just that online version of themselves. This is becoming a rising issue in the world of content creation, and it creates a very dangerous dynamic between people. Now, Ricardo Lopez's case is an extreme example of parasocial relationships, but it still needs to be talked about. He believed that since he knew Bjork's music and her life, because he stalked her and was thinking about her constantly, he thought that meant that they knew each other. It consumed his entire mind so that he had no room for logic or reason. In his final moments on Earth, his last goal was to make that statement by painting himself all over that poster. The best of me. But nothing happened. And that is the legacy that he leaves behind. Thank you for watching to the end of the video.
You can be a lover on fire, whatever you desire. If it's like a runway and you're the designer, wings up and butterflies, face in the tiger, baby, choose your fighter. I know this world can be a little confusing, no walking hard, but I can't help you solve the riddle. You're perfect as you are. If you wanna break out of the box, gonna call all of the shots. If you wanna be sweet or soft, then go on. If you wanna go 6 inch flat, wear hot pink black. Don't let nobody tell you you can't.
That's my shit.
You can be a lover. It's like a round when you're with whatever you want, baby, use your
Pretty much my whole YouTube career at the moment. Researching the weird and spooky things that the world has to offer. So I've become pretty accustomed to seeing hair-raising things late at night. And it's not often that I get genuinely terrified by the things that I research. But researching today's video, I'm not gonna lie, it got me pretty spooked. There's one clip in particular that I'll show you later in this video, if I don't get demonetized. An urban legend turned real, with so much evidence, yet no definitive answer on what it actually is. Today, lady and man, we are of course talking about the Serbian dancing lady. In 2019, a video started circulating on TikTok of a lady dancing on the streets of Serbia late at night. No one really knew who she was or why she would dance in the street. It was told that if you ever witnessed the Serbian dancing lady, you were meant to stay completely silent. If you made a noise and she noticed you, she would chase you down with a knife. It started with a few grainy, low-quality videos uploaded from Serbia, showing a woman dancing slowly on the streets at night. These clips were often poorly filmed and from a distance, as if the person behind the camera was too scared to get too close. It didn't take long for these videos to go viral, spreading across platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. People couldn't get enough of this strange, unsettling figure. But with the viral fame came questions. Who was this woman, and why was she dancing? The first recorded sighting of the Serbian dancing lady took place in Belgrade, Serbia's capital. It was a dark, quiet evening, and a group of friends noticed a woman dancing in the streets alone. As they approached, they saw her dancing in the street, her movements slow and deliberate, her face hidden beneath her hair. And as any group of friends would do, they began filming. Because if we've learned anything from horror movies, it's that the cameraman never dies. As they got closer, however, the Serbian lady turned and faced them, and this caused the group to run away, which was probably a smart decision. I wouldn't fuck with a lady dancing in the middle of the street, in the middle of the night, completely alone. As more and more videos emerged, the sightings of the Serbian dancing lady started to spread, often near the city of Belgrade. The footage was always kind of similar. A woman dancing alone, moving in slow motion, as if caught in some kind of horrific ritual, possessed by a spirit. In many clips, she is seen to be holding what appears to be a knife, but despite these repeated sightings, no one could identify her. Who was she, and why was she dancing in the dead of night, armed with a knife? As with any internet mystery, the super sleuths at Reddit started to put in their own opinions, so let's break down some of their more popular theories. The first theory, and perhaps the most straightforward, is that the Serbian dancing lady suffers from some form of mental illness. Some suggest that she might be homeless, wandering these streets in a delusional state, unaware of her surroundings or the terror that she's caused. The erratic dancing and reports of her holding a knife is some form of psychotic episode, with her behavior being erratic and unpredictable. This theory seems quite sad, and if it is true, it shows the lack of mental health aid that we have on offer around the world. But if this theory is true, it raises the question, why was she only in specific areas? And why did the sightings stop for a while only to come back? Mental illness, especially when left untreated, can lead to strange and unsettling behaviors. However, even with this explanation, many people remain unconvinced. The persistence of her appearance in multiple locations and the eerie consistency in her behavior suggests that there's something far more sinister going on here. So the second theory is a bit more spooky. Some people believe that the Serbian dancing lady is not human at all, but something far more sinister. In Serbian folklore, there's numerous tales of spirits, witches, and cursed individuals that haunt a specific place. Unable to find peace, some point to the Sava Sava legend, a mysterious woman said to roam the streets of Serbia, cursed to dance for eternity after defying a powerful witch. So this caused many people to question whether the Serbian dancing lady was actually part of Serbian folklore. Throughout history, stories of women forced to dance for eternity appear in multiple cultures, often as a punishment for some form of transgression against the supernatural. Some believe that the Serbian dancing lady could be one of those trapped souls, trapped between the worlds of the living and dead, stuck in a constant state of limbo and forced to dance for eternity, which sounds kind of like an office job when you put it that way. So funny. Another theory, perhaps less supernatural but still as disturbing, is that the Serbian dancing lady is some form of labyrinth brain. But this theory seems unlikely, and I'll explain why in a second. If we look over the past decade, the internet has seen numerous viral hoaxes and challenges designed to scare and disturb viewers, such as the Blue Whale Challenge or the Momo Challenge. I wonder if there's any cool YouTubers that have made videos about those recently. According to this theory, though, this woman could be an actor or part of a performance art piece designed deliberately to go viral. Her strange movement, her weapon, and the fear that she provokes could be someone's master plan in the ever-growing quest to internet virality. If this is true, that means that the Serbian dancing lady is not dangerous at all. But even if this is a prank, it still has real-world consequences. People have reported genuine fear in the streets, and there's whispers of confrontations between people that have gotten too close. If it is a social experiment, it has gone into the realm of unsettling. But here's the thing. If this supposedly is a prank, how do you explain the constant stream of disturbing eyewitness accounts? Sure, many of these are probably fake, but there are many people that claim that they have witnessed the Serbian dancing lady with their own two eyes, often in the late hours of nights when the streets are completely empty, with some of these accounts seeming too eerie to be any form of hoax. One such account comes from a young man who encountered her late at night, near the outskirts of Belgrade. He was walking home after a party when he spotted her moving strangely in the distance. At first, he thought he was just a drunk lady simply dancing in the street. Sure, many of these are probably fake, but there are many people that claim that they have witnessed the Serbian dancing lady with their own two eyes, often in the late hours of nights when the streets are completely empty, with some of these accounts seeming too eerie to be any form of hoax. One such account comes from a young man who encountered her late at night, near the outskirts of Belgrade. He was walking home after a party when he spotted her moving strangely in the distance. At first, he thought he was just a drunk lady who was simply dancing in the street to have a bit of fun. But as he approached, she turned to face him, her expression completely blank. Suddenly, she lunged towards him, holding what appeared to be a knife, terrified his experience online, warning others to stay away. Another account describes a group of friends that saw the Serbian dancing lady while they were driving home late at night. They slowed down to film her, but as they got closer, she started running towards their car, causing them to speed off in panic. They later posted the footage, which quickly went viral, fueling more debate about her true intentions. These stories, whether real or most likely exaggerated, are still genuinely quite disturbing. It's one thing to see a viral video online, but for those who claim to see her in person, that is genuine, real fear. While the Serbian dancing lady may have started as a local legend, her impact has reached far beyond Serbia. She has become a symbol of modern urban fear, causing them to suddenly act. One such account comes from a young man who encountered her late at night, near the outskirts of Belgrade. He was walking home after a party when he spotted her moving strangely in the distance. At first, he thought he was just a drunk lady who was simply dancing in the street to have a bit of fun. But as he approached, she turned to face him, her expression completely blank. Suddenly, she lunged towards him, holding what appeared to be a knife. Terrified, he fled, and he later posted about his experience online, warning others to stay away. Another account describes a group of friends that saw the Serbian dancing lady while they were driving home late at night. They slowed down and filmed her, but as they got closer, she started running towards their car, causing them to speed off in panic. They later posted the footage, which quickly went viral, fueling more debate about her true intentions. These stories, whether real or most likely exaggerated, are still genuinely quite disturbing. It's one thing to see a viral video online, but for those who claim to see her in person, that is genuine, real fear. While the Serbian dancing lady may have started as a local legend, her impact has reached far beyond Serbia. She has become a symbol of modern urban fear, discussed not just in Serbia, but around the globe. Some believe she represents a deeper cultural anxiety, the fear of the unknown, supernatural, or even the fear of mental health that is often stigmatized. In Serbia, a lot of locals see the Serbian dancing lady as a genuine threat, especially in smaller towns where the superstition runs deep. The legend has often led to discussions of urban safety late at night, particularly for those who walk alone. So what is the truth behind the Serbian dancing lady? Is she a disturbing woman lost in her own world, a spirit cursed to dance forever, or perhaps part of an elaborate hoax that has gotten out of control? I don't think we'll ever know. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
What if everything you knew about Christmas was a little different than you expected?
It's a beast.
Everyone and their moms are on the internet today, and it's a no-brainer as to why traditional cable TV is becoming more of a relic of the past. Nowadays, creators take the mantle in becoming modern-day TV, and that looks something like people watching TikTokers, YouTubers, and even streamers such as iShowSpeed, Kai Cenat, and Aiden Ross. And bro, whether you like these people or not is irrelevant, because even people that you would generally consider dumb are becoming the faces of today's creators economy and becoming successful whilst doing so. And shit, I mean, look at the stats. The creator economy is set to be worth $250 billion currently, and it's predicted to be way more by 2030. And like many creators, I don't consider myself that bright. In fact, I think I'm a genuine dumbass that just happens to put in effort to create something valuable and put it out there into the world. But here's the thing. Most of you are probably way smarter than most creatives, but choose not to act on the greatest opportunity given to us yet, and that's to create content online. So with me telling you this, I hope to give you clarity as to why stupid people are more successful than you. And the reason why dumb people tend to be more successful is because they just try and they're not stuck in analysis paralysis like a smart person. Because here's the thing, smart people tend to overthink everything that they do. Example being,
What if my family and friends from school left work to see my videos?
you didn't know, nobody cares.
But I don't have all the equipment I need.
Which is another limiting belief. I assume if you're watching this, you have an iPhone, iPad, computer, that has a built-in camera, mic, need lighting, use room light. And that's the thing. All of these are excuses that let you procrastinate on a decision that could potentially change your life and something that you could generally enjoy doing. But the problem is most intelligent people overanalyze too much, and dumb people, you'll find out why I put dumb in quotations a bit, just do it regardless of anything. And it's not to say that less intelligent people don't think at all, but more so the fact that they know that if they don't act now, the regret of never trying is going to tear them apart. Like, bro, let me tell you a story. And this takes place way back when I was in 7th or 8th grade. And back then, it was taboo to have a YouTube channel or tell people that you have a YouTube channel. Otherwise, if they found out that you did, then they'll ridicule you or make fun of you. And so there was this kid in my school who had a YouTube channel, and his name was Lucas. And one day, his video got noticed by this really big YouTuber named FaZe that has over like millions of followers, right? And Lucas was featured on his video because he used to troll the fuck out of FaZe and actually respond to it and troll back Lucas just like how he would any other kids that he was reacting to. Once that got noticed and it blew up, Lucas gained a lot of exposure and popularity at my school. Like, for example, on one end you had kids making fun of him, and then on the other hand you had people treating him like a royalty because a big YouTuber noticed him. But it discouraged him to the point where he didn't want to upload any more YouTube videos. And in my opinion, had he not listened to all the naysayers, all the haters that were criticizing him for being on YouTube, I think he would have been farther ahead in his content creator journey right now, like with a loyal, big following, because he generally has a personality and all that shit that comes with being YouTuber. which is just being you. And the thing is, places like social media and things like YouTube aren't just a place for you to watch funny videos. It's an accumulation of a lot of things. People come on platforms like YouTube to educate themselves, be entertained, something that alters their state where they learn something or feel something, you know what I mean? And here's another thing that separates dumb people from the intelligent people, and that's the fact that dumb people have like this childlike ignorance to what they believe they can do, and just act on it because that's just how much they believe in themselves. With the smart person, like how I mentioned before, they're always stuck in analysis paralysis, and in some cases they have a perfectionist take on things and think that they need to have X, Y, and Z in order to do something. That's straight up like dumb. That's like the equivalent of someone saying that they need to have all the information of like dieting and workout plans or whatever to start going to the gym, versus a person who doesn't have any information about the gym and just goes straight in the first day, regardless of having any information or not, and willing to look stupid while doing so and learn along the way. That's a similar way you got to view content creation. You're not going to have everything. You don't need to know X, Y, and Z. And bro, guess what? The person who has less info is going to learn as he goes, learn as she goes, versus the person who never goes at all and makes excuses and negotiations with themselves. They never succeed at all. It's that simple. And bro, the same logic applies to every other aspect of your life, especially if it's something new. And not to mention, you're going to have to be willing to look stupid for a little bit until you become a master at that thing. Everybody starts off as a novice. Think about it. Everybody had a story where they didn't on dieting and training. They just kept going until they eventually absorbed a little bit more knowledge and practice over and over again. Consistency. And bro, this is what you call having mentality. Keep on learning and doing things along the way as you go on your journey. Even excluding the potential amount of money aspect that can be made from doing content, the very fact is when you make content of your own, what happens is you tap into this innate human desire to create something and materialize it into the world where it didn't exist prior. And it's amazing because, bro, the entire world is see the work that you created. You guys are watching what I'm creating right now is valuable. This like but and this is why I think regular TV is dead and the internet is taken over and it's worth much more. Now, you can't say it's not fair that people are making this much online on a financial.
Isn't it supposed to be fucking 2 a.m. right now? The fuck? Shit. I see now. Yo, let me get in the fucking car, nigga. We're gonna fucking die. There's someone here, bitch.
What's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Erica. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I missed you. For today's video, I'm going to be reading scary stories that you guys sent me. Dude, shout out to you guys for coming through because you guys send the best scary stories. Like I've said before, you're not gonna hear these stories anywhere else. Also, oh my god, it's almost gonna be Halloween. Dude, how exciting. Comment what you're gonna do, what you're gonna dress up as. But anyways, I don't want to make this intro too long. By the way, I am doing this I'm short and petite thing because, dude, look at my nails. I've been doing makeup looks on TikTok. If you didn't know, I low-key get down makeup looks. So I've been wearing press-ons and I'd rather do this. Alright guys, let's get cozy and get ready to hear these stories. This story happened to me and my family in Mexico. My mom is from Nuevo León, Mexico, and we often went to my grandma's house for the summer/Christmas. One summer, all my mom's siblings and all of my cousins were at my grandma's house. My grandma's house is huge. It has 6 bedrooms, plus una piscina afuera para lavar. One of my tías at the time was really into brujería, la Santa Muerte to be exact. For reference, my mom's family has always been religious, but my grandma would often visit curanderas to get her cartas read. My tía and her husband at the time were wrapped up in negocios malos, drug dealing, etc. We would pray to la Santa Muerte often to keep them safe. She had statues everywhere. She even had her tattooed on herself. Well, during this time, it was around 2009, 2010. Like I said, we were all at my grandma's for the summer. Our oldest cousin, let's call him Jay, was getting all of us cousins together to take a photo. Mi tía trajo una disposable camera with her and was taking pictures of all of us. She then decided to take a picture of my cousin Jay, alone on the couch in the living room. We obviously didn't see the picture until a couple days later after they got them developed. Girl, what we saw in his picture alone was terrifying and disturbing. My cousin was sitting on the left side of the couch. He was alone in this picture. On the other side of the couch was the silhouette of La Santa Muerte. It was just black, and she was just standing. You could see her outline clearly. She looked like a shadow. My tia was panicking, and so was the rest of the family. Everyone at the time was questioning her, asking what did she promise La Santa Muerte. My tío, mom's sibling, took the photo from her and burned it. We then prayed for my cousin Jay. 3 years later, my cousin was shot and killed by an accident due to him being out while 2 different cartels were fighting over territory, over the state of Nuevo León. After that, everyone in the family believes to this day that mi tía le prometió algo a la Santa Muerte, and my cousin's life has the promise. This story is crazy. My cousins and I still talk about it to this day. We're all old, late 20s, with children and families of our own, but this still freaks us out. Ay, no, qué miedo. I've heard that she's very vengativa. If your tía did promise that, that sucks. And that sucks that happened to your cousin. Pobrecito. I have a creepy story that I think would be perfect for your channel. It happened during my summer vacation in 2022, around July. I have a habit of listening to music on YouTube on my TV. And on this particular day,
shit.
I was playing some Billie Eilish music in my
There's someone
living room.
hiding.
Just before my family and I were set to leave to Mexico, specifically Jerez, Zacatecas, where we visit every summer. A tragic incident occurred. My grandfather unexpectedly passed away in my dad's truck. He had either accidentally swallowed a bee or been stung by one. His death was declared unknown by the hospital, where he was admitted. He also suffered from diabetes, had both of his legs amputated, and had trouble seeing, which led to his health deteriorating rapidly. It was heartbreaking because just moments before, he had expressed a craving for fresh fruit from the street vendors near the mercado. My grandfather had a strong bond with dogs, despite not liking them when he was younger. As he aged, he grew fond of them and had several dogs at home with my dad's stepmother. The eerie part of the story came when I returned to California. And in 20, if your tia did promise that, that sucks. And that sucks that that happened to your cousin. Pobrecito. I have a creepy story that I think would be perfect for your channel. It happened during my summer vacation in 2022, around July. I have a habit of listening to music on YouTube on my TV. And on this particular day, I was playing some Billie Eilish music in my living room. Just before my family and I were set to leave to Mexico, specifically Jerez, Zacatecas, where we visit every summer. A tragic incident occurred. My grandfather unexpectedly passed away in my dad's truck. He had either accidentally swallowed a bee or been stung by one. His death was declared unknown by the hospital, where he was admitted. He also suffered from diabetes, had both of his legs amputated, and had trouble seeing, which led to his health deteriorating rapidly. It was heartbreaking because just moments before, he had expressed a craving for fresh fruit from the street vendors near the mercado. My grandfather had a strong bond with dogs, despite not liking them when he was younger. As he aged, he grew fond of them. Several dogs at home with my dad's stepmother. The eerie part of the story came when I returned to California. My neighbor, a 7-year-old girl, showed me pictures on her iPad and claimed there was a ghost in our house. I was initially skeptical until she showed me a picture she had taken a week before we left to Mexico. In the image, there was a faint figure of a shadow of a girl or woman with dark hair peeking around my TV screen. It sent chills down my spine, especially considering the timing just before my grandfather's sudden passing. This experience left me wondering where there might be a connection between the ghostly apparition and my grandfather's sudden passing. It's a story that has deeply unsettled both my family and friends, sparking discussions about the possibility of something supernatural attempting something unknown by the hospital, where he was admitted. He also suffered from diabetes, had both of his legs amputated, and had trouble seeing, which led to his health deteriorating rapidly. It was heartbreaking because just moments before, he had the street vendors near the mercado. My grandfather had a strong bond with dogs, despite not liking them when he was younger. Grew fond of them and had several dogs at home with my dad's stepmother. The eerie part of the story came when I returned to California. My neighbor, a 7-year-old girl, showed me pictures on her iPad and claimed there was a ghost in our house. I was initially skeptical until she showed me a picture she had taken a week before we left to Mexico. In the image, there was a faint figure of a shadow of a girl or woman with dark hair peeking around my TV screen. It sent chills down my spine, especially considering the timing just before my grandfather's sudden passing. This experience left me wondering where there might be a connection between the ghostly apparition and my grandfather's sudden passing. It's a story that has deeply unsettled both my family and friends, sparking discussions about the possibility of my grandfather. It sent chills down my spine, especially considering the timing just before my grandfather's sudden passing. This experience left me wondering where there might be a connection between the ghostly apparition and my grandfather's sudden passing. It's a story that has deeply unsettled both my family and friends, sparking discussions about the possibility of something supernatural attempting to communicate or warn us. During the novenario at my grandfather's house, a heartwarming take.
Cuba and so reclaim the last five with Harper's Bazaar. Fascinating though, isn't it for me? I've been a nasty girl.
We go to the locker, is seated in there. Marcus Hayes, who
And I'm right back in that A. Smooth, I ain't leaving no trace. Rest on me.